Hello everyone and welcome to today's session, Mobile Forensic Techniques, an advanced guide to digital forensics. This is the first session of our CHFI series with Bennie Cleveland. I am Kainaz Baria and I'll be host for the day. Before we get started, we would like to go over a few house rules. For our attendees, the session will be in listen-only mode and will last for an hour, out of which last 15 minutes will be dedicated to Q&A. Now about our speaker, Bennie L. Cleveland. Bennie is a distinguished cybersecurity leader with over 2 decades of experience in cyber incident management, enterprise security, and risk management, holding certifications such as CHFI, CISO, CISM, CISA, CRIS, and CIPM. Bennie has demonstrated exemplary leadership in incident response, forensic, and threat intelligence. Currently serving as the AVP of Cyber Incident Management at the Chubb. He specializes in identifying high-risk vulnerabilities and mitigating ransomware. Bennie has proven record of accelerating incident resolution and enhancing business continuity. He is also a cybersecurity adjunct at Valley Forge Military Academy and College, where he teaches digital forensics. His strategic oversight ensures robust compliance and comprehensive security measures. So without any further delay, I would like to now hand over the session to you, Bennie.
Thank you for that. Yes, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. My name is Bennie Cleveland, or you can call me BJ. As Kanai's currently just alluded, I have 2 decades of specialized experience in cybersecurity. My focus spans on critical areas such as incident response, digital forensics, risk management. And my journey in cybersecurity includes contributions at organizations like Dell SecureWorks, AstraZeneca, and BB Healthcare. My current role, as Kanai did allude to, I also lead incident investigations where I craft strategies that align with our regulatory compliance and develop comprehensive incident response protocols. Several certifications spanning over various cybersecurity verticals in risk management and security governance. And I've led over 500 tabletop exercises and crafted several KPIs that strengthen security governance, driven my dedication to building resilience. So thank you for having me. To get started, we'll start with a basic overview of mobile forensics. We don't want to assume everybody knows what it is, so we want to start there. From there, we'll dive into the data types and extraction techniques, focusing on the methods for accessing critical information. And then from there, we'll discuss advanced tools to expand our investigative capabilities, followed by the mobile application and cloud data forensics tactics, which will basically talk a lot about the applications in the cloud environments. And then last, we'll kind of conclude with the legal and ethical considerations. We want to make sure we have a good stature on what, from a legal perspective, do we have to follow, right? And what ethical considerations must we follow? And then last, we'll have a Q&A session to discuss any questions in deeper interest. All right, so to set the stage, let's kind of get into the mobile forensics overview. We really want to get into the purposes and importance of mobile forensics. And so we'll be discussing the scope, the purpose, and why it is indispensable in modern investigations. We also establish this as a foundation to pave our way to future discussions about the tools, techniques, and practices. All right, so without further ado, let's delve into the core. All right, so one of the first components in mobile forensics is going to be the chain of custody. We first maintain a secure chain of custody to ensure every step in handling evidence and make sure that it's carefully documented. We do this by using Faraday bags to block network access, or we can also log each interaction to maintain its credibility. We're going to kind of get into more of the accessories in a future slide. The second component is forensic soundness, right? We want to use write blockers to preserve data integrity during extraction and apply hashing techniques like MD5 or SHA-256 before and after extraction to confirm that we have no alterations. And then we want to also look at the data volatility. which is another key principle where we focus on capturing temporary data, such as RAM content before it's lost. We use tools like Belkosoft, RAM Capturer, and ADB to secure and make sure that this critical information has not been altered. And then last, we want to kind of understand data carving, right? Data carving is used to recover deleted files from unallocated storage, often with tools like autopsy. These techniques together form a reliable, comprehensive approach to any mobile forensic investigation. So some of the key principles of mobile forensics that underpin effective and reliable mobile forensic investigations typically first start with the device recognition, right? So the first approach is basically how do we accurately identify the type of device that we're using, which could be anything from a smartphone or a tablet. Now within this step, we have to encompass and determine the device model, the operating system, and the specific manufacturer details. Additionally, any storage and condition check is conducted to inspect any external storage components such as the SIM or SD card, and to document the physical condition of the device, right? So obviously we need to recognize these details as early as possible to ensure we select the right tools and extraction methods. The second key principle is the evidence location, right? Now, this is a very crucial component. So we need to identify all potential storage areas on this device, right? So this is going to include the storage identification of internal memory types like the NAND and the eMMC, as well as the external storage options such as the SIM and SD cards, okay? Additionally, we need to examine the cloud and app storage, and we need to look at any linked account, for example, iCloud or Google Drive, and any other app-specific storage that may contain encrypted containers or hidden files. We also want to conduct a thorough approach to this evidence location to help ensure we don't overlook any critical data source. The third key pillar is the data integrity, right? We need to emphasize preserving the data's accuracy and the completeness throughout the forensic process. Key to this data preservation will be to use tools like write blockers to prevent data modification during acquisition. And so we need to create a forensic image and use hash values such as the MD5 or the SHA-256 to verify its integrity. Finally, we need to understand the analysis and documentation, which is performed on this image, where we kind of review all the logs, all the findings, and maintain a chain of custody to make sure that the records are upheld. And we also want to make sure that what we've done is admissible in court. And then the last is the chain of custody, where we have talked about before. It is fundamental to maintain the legal standing of our forensic evidence. We do this by logging, right? Making sure that everything is being updated properly. And we understand each step that's taken with this device. We want to make sure that everything is documented and recorded. Additionally, we maintain integrity through a comprehensive documentation, ensuring that the evidence remains credible and legally sound. This thorough tracking is essential for preserving the evidence legal viability throughout this investigation. So these are the 4 key components for mobile forensics. Obviously, there are some pivot points, but these are the 4 that I want you guys to take away today. We also want, actually building on that foundation of the device handling, let's explore the essential techniques that enable us to extract, analyze, and document data comprehensively while taking a strict legal and ethical standard. So just to continue this effort, we also want to look at the extraction techniques. And this is basically the backbone of retrieving the data from mobile forensics. We use logical, physical, and file system extractors, employing tools like Celebrite UFED to access key data such as contacts, messages, call logs, and even recover deleted content. Additionally, the cloud extraction technique also allows us to retrieve data stored on the cloud services such as iCloud or Google Drive. And so we will be using tools like Elcomsoft. And so each extraction method is essential for us to ensure a thorough examination of all potential data sources. The second component is our data analysis, right? So following extraction, we move on to data analysis, where we derive insights from the collected information. Now, this process begins with data parsing, and metadata analysis, where we should be examining the timestamps, the geolocation, and logs for patterns and context. We then delve into the app and network analysis, right? We focus on the data within the apps and examining the network activity, which should give us a deeper understanding of user interactions and behaviors. Together, these analysis techniques provide crucial evidence and enrich the investigation. We then want to look on to the documentation and reporting, which ensures a transparent and accountability process. And so the process documentation involves recording every forensic step, right? This is going to including the tools and methods used, creating a detailed audit trail. Now, the comprehensive reporting then compiles all findings, supported evidence, logs, and analysis into a clear narrative-driven report that reinforces both investigative and legal objectives. This meticulous approach often strengthens the reliability of our findings. Right now, this is a crucial step just to the nature. Everything we do has to be admissible, okay? And then finally, legal and ethical considerations help us to uphold compliance and ethics in forensic practices, right? The legal compliance mandates strict adherence to relevant laws and regulations, ensuring evidence is collected lawfully. Ethical standards require us to respect privacy rights during the evidence collection and also during the analysis phase. So we want to balance these investigative needs with individual rights, and we do this by adhering to these principles. We uphold integrity and credibility of the forensic process, providing an ethical foundation for our investigation. With a solid understanding of foundational principles, let's now shift our focus to the diverse mobile data types and extraction techniques that shape the forensic landscape. In today's mobile world, data resides in various devices and formats, and this can be from smartphones to wearable tech. Recognizing these specific data types within these devices and applying the right extraction techniques is essential for building a complete forensic picture. So one of the first components, obviously is the call log, right? Call logs, these records give us a detailed account of all calls made, received, or missed on that particular device. Now, they include essential metadata such as timestamps, call durations, and caller or recipient information. By analyzing call patterns, investigators can establish communication frequency and identify close contacts, creating timelines that aid in understanding the user's social interactions. The second component is SMS or MMS, and these are messages which contain text and multimedia content along the metadata like timestamps and sender-receiver details. These messages offer a rich source of insight into personal or business conversations, for example, filed exchanges and or shared images or videos, which helps clarify the context of a user's interactions or intentions. We then have emails, right? Emails stored on mobile devices include message content, attachments, essential metadata such as sender and recipient information and timestamps as well. By examining email exchanges, investigators can also uncover communication, history, shared documents, and potential connections between individuals, helping to build a sequence of events. And then we have contacts. The contact list on a device provides names, phone numbers, email addresses, and other personal details, establishing a network of relationships. Now, we understand all of this by analyzing these connections, which enables investigators to map out social networks and identify potential involved parties or recurring connections. And then we move on to the app data, right? So app data is very unique to the individual applications. And this is going to include user activity, preferences, and stored information such as login details and search history. And so by examining app data, we can gain insight into the user's habits, their interests, and recent activities, adding more depth to the investigation. We also want to look at browsing history. Browsing history records websites visited, search queries, and other online activities. Analyzing this type of history offers insights into a user's interests, frequently visited sites, and potentially incriminating searches, painting a detailed picture of their online footprint. And we also want to look at the location information, which is often logged through GPS and location services, right? And this is where we're going to be tracking a device's movements and whereabouts. This particular data is invaluable for reconstructing a user's path, verifying their alibis, or pinpointing locations of interest, all of which support the investigation's timeline in a spatial context. And last, we have photos and videos, right, which provide a visual documentation with metadata such as timestamps, location tags, and device information. These files are critical in all investigations as they will deliver direct visual evidence of events, places, or people, enriching the investigative narrative with tangible proof, okay? Continue with mobile data types. We also want to look at location data, which offers invaluable insights into the device's movement, physical locations over time. This will also include GPS coordinates, Wi-Fi connection history, and even geotag files, which allow forensic investigators to trace the device's movement patterns, okay? By analyzing location data, investigators can also identify key locations of interest, validate timelines, and correlate this data with other information, building a detailed narrative around the device's journey and activities. And we have browser data, right? So the browser data, this is information which gives a window to the user's digital activity, okay? So this will include web history, bookmarks, cookies, and cache files, forming a digital footprint of the sites visited and content accessed. By analyzing the browser data, investigators can uncover potential evidence of intent, gain insights into the user's interests, and connect the user to specific online interactions, making it a powerful tool for linking online activity with real-world actions. And then really the last two, they kind of are the same, the app data and the cloud. I'm going to spend more time on the cloud. The cloud storage basically broadens the scope of our investigation beyond the device itself. This type of data includes any content synchronized with cloud services such as iCloud, Google Drive, or OneDrive, or even Dropbox. The cloud storage can uphold backups or photos, documents, and app data that may not be available locally on that particular device. And so accessing cloud storage expands the investigator's reach, giving a more holistic view of the data ecosystem associated with that device and offering any additional layer of evidence for that particular investigation. So now that we have a comprehensive grasp on the mobile data types and the fundamental extraction techniques, we now turn our focus to the advanced tools for mobile device forensics. Now, these specialized tools are engineered to tackle the complexities of modern mobile devices, allowing forensic investigators to retrieve and analyze data with precision and accuracy. So we start with Celebrite UFED, right? And for those who don't know what UFED is, it's the Universal Forensic Extraction Device. So if you see Celebrite UFED, that's what that means. Now, the purpose of Celebrite UFED has been a foundational tool in mobile forensics. Now, this tool allows investigators to perform comprehensive data extraction, not only from a mobile device, but also from a cloud storage perspective. The strength of this tool is supported through multiple extraction methods: logical, physical, and cloud-based. It makes it in particularly effective for capturing a wide range of data types, including call logs, messages, and even deleted files. Think of Celebrite UFED as an all-in-one solution, right? Its versatility in handling both device and cloud extraction makes it a very reliable choice when you need a powerful, adaptable tool to work across various data sources. The second tool is one of my favorites, Magnet Axiom, right? It was created with a dual focus on data extraction and also a very in-depth analysis, offering investigators an integrated platform for both retrieving and interpreting data. Now, the strength of Axiom stands out because of its advanced analysis feature, which includes filtering, visualization, and search tools. These capabilities allow forensic teams to find connections within large data sets, making it particularly useful for investigations where patterns and relationships need to be established. Now, Axiom excels at data correlation and report generation. So this is a go-to tool when investigations require structured analytical approaches that goes just beyond just data extraction to build a comprehensive narrative. Next tool is MSAB, or Micro Systematization AB, and their favorite tool is X-ray. Now, the purpose of X-ray was developed by Micro Segmentation AB to meet the needs of investigators looking for a quick, secure mobile data extraction method. And so it has a optimized approach for speed without compromising any data integrity. The tool's selective extraction capabilities and built-in decryption for lock files make it a highly efficient tool. Investigators can choose specific data types to extract, preserving storage space and focusing on the most relevant evidence. And so this tool is known for its performance, its speed, right? Its focus on extractions that may be required, and its strength is in maintaining data integrity, and makes it a preferred tool in cases where secure, rapid data retrieval is paramount. Okay. Our next tool is Elcomsoft Phone Breaker. Elcomsoft Phone Breaker was designed to tackle challenges of accessing encrypted backups and cloud data, especially from sources like iCloud or Google Drive. The strength here is the ability to bypass encryption, enables forensic teams to reach data that would otherwise be locked away, and it makes this tool invaluable in where investigations where that device may be limited or unrecoverable, right? So this is a very unique tool. You know, I have used Elcomsoft on various investigations where we do see a lot of encrypted files. The next tool is Belkasoft, right? It's Belkasoft Evidence Center. It's known for its capability to analyze data from multiple sources. This tool helps investigators piece together complex cases involving diverse digital evidence. The strength of this tool is within its timeline analysis, keyword search, and detailed parsing. Belkasoft enables investigators to organize and interpret data from applications, social media, and more. So this allows for a comprehensive approach to case building. Now, the distinct feature with Belkasoft is that it shines in multi-source analytical capabilities. It's particularly effective for cases that require synthesizing data from various digital sources into a more cohesive, structured investigation. Okay, so if you're looking for more of a structured, kind of keeps you honest type of tool, this would probably be the way to go. And then our last tool is MobileLit. I always struggle with this one, but MobileLit Forensic. And basically, this tool is tailored to support forensic reporting needs, providing data extraction alongside clear, courtside admissible documentation. So the biggest takeaway here with this one is if you need a structured report for a court hearing, this may be the right tool for you. Although Axiom also provides that as well. But this is a user-friendly interface that focuses on structured reporting. It makes it a preferred tool for creating legally compliant reports that are straightforward and easy to present in court. It improvises a structured courtroom-ready reporting structure, which makes it highly valuable in scenarios where clarity and adherence to legal standards and reporting are essential. And so, as we look at these tools, the key differences, Celebrite, UFED, and XRite are top choices for versatile mobile data access. If you're looking for advanced analysis, it probably would be Magnet, Axiom, or Belkasoft, leading in providing deep analysis and data correlation. If you have issues with encrypted access, Elcomsoft would probably be the best tool for reaching encrypted and cloud stored data. And if you have issues or you're working with the legal team and they're really focused on the reporting, MobileLit would probably be the best tool to use for its clear court ready forensic reporting. Now, forensic accessories are essential in preserving data integrity, enabling secure access, and ensuring legally defensible evidence is handled in mobile forensics cases. Let's look at a closer look at some of these accessories that are required. The first tool is a write blocker. Now, what is a write blocker? A write blocker prevents any modification to the device's data during the extraction, right? So as we extract data from that cell phone, from that iPhone, we need to make sure that we are not tainting the integrity of that device. And so this ensures that the original evidence remains unaltered, preserving its authenticity for legal validation. Keep in mind, when we talk about being admissible in court, none of these devices can be altered, right, to prove your case. If so, they will typically throw that case out or they cannot use that piece of evidence. The second component is a Faraday bag, okay? Faraday bags shield devices from external network signals, preventing remote tampering, or accidental data interference. The importance of a Faraday bag is to secure, transport, and store that particular device. We do that by protecting the data from unauthorized access or alteration. The next accessory is a SIM SD card reader. Okay. Now, the purpose of these are to allow access to data stored on external cards, including contacts, messages, and media files. The importance here is to enable you to capture additional evidence that may not reside directly on that particular device, but this is also going to expand your data collection scope. Okay. The next is specialized cables and adapters, right? These provide secure, compatible connections across various device types. And this will ensure smooth data transfer by adapting to a wide range of devices encountered in our forensic work. We also have external hard drives and storage devices, right? Now, the purpose here is to safely store forensic images, large volumes of extracted data of ongoing analysis. The importance here is to manage all of our evidence in complex cases, offering organized and secure data handling. So in summary, these forensic accessories are foundational for secure data access and storage. They uphold data integrity, they enhance evidence credibility, and support the entire forensic process. They also make them indispensable for legally sound mobile forensic investigations. And so these are just a scope, a handful of some of the accessories that you may encounter. We also have power adapters and portable banks, which basically, if we are in a situation where we need to maintain continuous power during an extended extraction process, we would need to have a specialized power bank or a UPS. These ensure uninterrupted access to the device data, preventing data loss from unexpected shutdowns. We also have a tool that, or accessory rather, that a lot of people may not be familiar with. This is a forensic network isolator. Now, what this accessory will do is securely isolate a device from external networks, for example, Wi-Fi, cellular, and regular internet access. The importance with this tool or accessory is that it protects data integrity by blocking potential remote tampering or any unauthorized data access. We also have forensic phone cables, right? And these connect to various mobile devices to forensic workstations or data extraction. The importance here is to provide compatibility with multiple devices and operating systems, but this also ensures reliable and secure data transfers with that particular device. And we also have SATA to USB adapters and drive adapters. The purpose here is to allow direct connection to a solid state hard drive for forensic workstations. The importance here is to enable data access without powering on the original device, which is crucial for our preservation of the data integrity. So in summary, with these accessories are essential for secure data handling. This ensures data evidence remains intact and admissible in forensic investigations. As mobile devices increasingly depend on applications and cloud services for data storage and data interactions, forensic investigators must use specialized tactics tailored to these unique sources. Mobile application and cloud data forensic tactics focus on accessing, extracting, and analyzing data specifically from mobile apps and cloud environments. These methods allow investigators to uncover critical insights into user behavior and interactions that are often vital to building a complete forensic picture. So let's dive into the techniques and tools used to extract and analyze evidence within these specific app and cloud storage data sources, which will enable a deeper understanding of user activities and potential digital footprints. So in today's world of mobile applications at the center of how we communicate, store information, and interact online, as a forensic investigator, it's essential for us to leverage specialized tactics that help us uncover and analyze valuable data hidden within these platforms. So first, let's talk about messaging and app data recovery. This is all about diving into encrypted messaging apps like WhatsApp and Signal. And so by using these tools such as Celebrite UFED and Magnet Axiom, we can extract chat logs, attachments, and metadata, even from apps that use strong encryption. This tactic allows us to access the core of the user communications, providing insights that might otherwise be out of reach. So then we move on to database analysis, which is also critical for understanding and the deeper layers of the app data. So let's take WhatsApp, for example. Its database file like MSG store.db, which basically contains a wealth of information such as messages, contacts, and even deleted media. We analyze these databases to help recover lost content and map out timelines of user interactions, allowing us to reconstruct conversations in detail. We also have forensic extraction. Take things further by enabling a comprehensive capture of all data from a suspect's device. So we use advanced tools, right? We gather encrypted chat logs, attachments, and other app-specific metadata directly from that particular device. And so this will ensure that we don't miss any relevant details, giving us a complete picture of what's being stored and what has been exchanged. And then finally, we have encrypted communication tracking, which is basically how we look at suspects using encrypted apps. How do they communicate and interact? And so here we focus on identifying patterns of use, connections, and activities within these platforms. By understanding these interactions, we can gain insights that are crucial to any investigation, all while adhering to privacy and legal standards. And so each of these tactics empowers us to dig a little bit deeper into mobile app data, uncovering hidden insights and building a clear, comprehensive view of all user activities. As we continue exploring forensic tactics of mobile applications and cloud data, let's dive deep into advanced strategies that enable investigators to recover, access, and manage data in complex environments. This slide will kind of cover some of the critical tactics, including leveraging cloud replicas, bypassing security measures, and navigating data regulations across borders. So first, cloud replicas and shadow copies for data recovery enable us to restore previous versions of that particular file, right? Retrieving lost or encrypted data through backup and redundancy mechanisms often provided by cloud services. Next, we want to look at or understand bypassing encryption and MFA for cloud data access, which will involve using advanced forensic techniques to access data protected by encryption and a multi-factor authentication. Now, this tactic is crucial when authorized data access is needed for any investigation. And then finally, navigating cross-border data loss in cloud forensics addresses the challenge for complying with international data protection laws like GDPR and CCPA. When handling cloud data across different jurisdictions, adherence to these regulations ensures that investigations are conducted legally and ethically. Each of these tactics supports a more comprehensive and compliant approach to mobile and cloud data forensics, especially in today's interconnected digital landscape. So now let's look at a step-by-step example of exactly how forensic tactics are applied in a real-world investigation involving encrypted messaging apps such as WhatsApp and or Signal. These platforms are popular for their end-to-end encryption, which presents a unique challenge for investigators. Let's look at how we approach this process and how we actually analyze and recover valuable data. So first, we want to acquire the suspect's device. Okay, we mentioned this a little bit earlier in the presentation. We want to ensure that the data integrity is preserved from the start. We use forensic write blockers, right? We then connect this device to a forensic workstation. Now, this tool prevents any accidental modifications to the data, preserving its original state and ensuring the evidence remains admissible in court. And keep in mind, proper acquisition sets a reliable foundation for the rest of the forensic process. Step two is extract data, right? So with this device connected now, we then proceed to extract data using specialized tools such as Celebrite, UFED, or Magic Axiom. These tools allow us to perform logical, physical, or file system extractions, targeting specific app databases that store encrypted messaging data, such as WhatsApp's message store.db, which is crucial for gaining access to that app's raw data, which will later be analyzed in detail. Step three is decrypting the data. So once the data has been extracted, we may encounter encryption. that restricts access to the chat content. Here, we use decryption capabilities within our forensic tools or apply password cracking techniques if required. This step allows us to unlock the encrypted databases and access plain text conversations, making the data readable for our investigation. We then overcome encryption barriers, which is often challenging but critical to uncovering the true contents of that communication. Step 4 is parse the database. So after decryption has completed, we analyze that extracted data. Using database browser tools like SQLite, parsing the database helps us uncover valuable information stored within the app, such as chat logs, timestamps, contact information, and shared media files. Now, this is the step that transforms raw data into structured information, enabling us to interpret conversations and trace interactions that could be pivotal to the investigation. And finally, we need to recover deleted information. So we apply advanced recovery techniques to retrieve deleted messages. We use physical extraction methods. We access the device's unallocated memory, and we look at remnants of the deleted data where it should be residing. And so by recovering these deleted items, we often uncover hidden evidence that can provide additional context or crucial leads that were previously considered lost. Let's now walk through an example of extracting and analyzing social media data from apps like Facebook and Instagram. I'm sure that most of us have both of these accounts, so this may be very fruitful. Social media platforms store vast amounts of user-generated content, making them essential in forensic investigations. Here's how we approach comprehensive examination of social media app data in this format. So the first is extracting the data. First step is using tools like Oxygen Forensic Suite to pull data directly from the social media application on that particular device. This will include extracting local cache files, images, and database records, typically stored in files like cache.db. This initial extraction provides us with foundational data, capturing what was directly accessible and stored on that particular device. Step 2 is analyzing local cache. Once the data is extracted, we then analyze the local cache, which can include profiles, images, messages, comments, and other media files stored locally. The local cache often contains recently accessed content or downloaded images, giving us valuable insights into the user's recent activity and also their interests, even if that data has been removed or altered in the main app. Step 3, we want to extract login sessions, right? And this will reveal sessions or tokens, stored credentials within the app's database. Now, these tokens may allow us to access associated accounts and retrieve additional information. And by capturing login sessions details, we can now explore the account interactions, potentially linking activity across devices or even recovering deleted content. Step 4 is using cloud access. If cloud credentials are available, forensic tools can also be used to access the suspect's social media accounts directly from the platform's cloud storage. This allows investigators to retrieve additional data that may not be stored locally, such as private messages, posts, friend connections, and detailed activity logs. Cloud access is essential for obtaining a full picture of the suspect's online interactions, especially when local storage is limited. And last, document our findings. Finally, we compile all recovered evidence such as multimedia files, private messages, and activity logs into a more detailed report. Documentation is critical for legal proceedings as it organizes the findings in a very coherent format, preserving timestamps, user interactions, and other metadata. This report serves as the official record supporting further investigative analysis or legal review. So as cloud storage and applications become integral in digital environments, forensic investigators use specialized tactics to examine and analyze data within the cloud. These cloud forensic tactics allow us to retrieve evidence and monitor activity and also ensure compliance across cloud platforms. And so typically, right, when we're talking about extracting mobile backups and documents, this is typically accessing backups and documents in a cloud environment. By retrieving these backups, forensic investigators can recover data like call logs, messages, images, documents, and application data that might not be available locally on that device. 2, we have malware detection and user activity. And so this is going to involve detecting malware and monitoring user activity in the cloud to protect against unauthorized access and other security threats. This also involves identifying and analyzing malicious software that may have been uploaded or spread throughout the cloud application. We then have tracking access and usage in cloud apps. By tracking access and usage in the cloud application helps us monitor user interactions and permissions and data flow. This tactic is crucial for understanding who accessed what information, when, and how, right? And so monitoring cloud app access supports security and compliance by detecting unauthorized access, ensuring proper resource allocation, and helping organizations maintain control over sensitive data. And last, we have tracking file activity in the storage, which includes monitoring actions like file creation, modification, sharing, and deletion. In some cases where a company experiences a data breach in the cloud and cloud storage, forensic investigators are tasked with uncovering the details of the incident. So let's walk through quickly the steps involved in the mobile cloud forensic tactics scenario, focusing on how the breach occurred and who was responsible and what the data was actually compromised. Here in this case, we'll walk through an investigation of how a data breach in the cloud actually took place. This structured approach will enable forensic investigators to systematically identify the source of the breach, understand how it occurred, and make recommendations for preventing future incidents. So let's explore each step. The first step is to review the access logs, right? Review the access logs to identify the users and the locations involved in accessing the data. By examining who accessed the data first, when, and from where, investigators can spot any anomaly, such as unusual access patterns or access from unexpected geolocations. The second step is metadata analysis. In this step, investigators will examine file metadata to understand patterns of access, modification, or deletion. Step 3, we're going to look at the user authentication and examination. This is where investigators will analyze authentication logs to detect compromised credentials or suspicious login attempts. Step 4, we're going to be taking snapshots and backup analysis, right? And this will involve reviewing cloud snapshots and backups to establish the state of the data before the breach. Step 5, we're going to be looking at the API log analysis, right? So within this step, investigators will examine the API logs for evidence of any unauthorized access or exploitation of the cloud resources. APIs are commonly used to interact with the cloud applications, and unauthorized access to APIs could indicate that the attackers exploited some type of vulnerability within the system. And then 6, we're going to have a brief conclusion. So in the final step, investigators will summarize their findings, identify the breach source, and recommended enhanced security measures. This typically includes recommendations for improved access controls, API monitoring, and user authentication protocols. So in this example, we just quickly want to talk about the Garmin ransom cloud-based attack. And obviously you guys know Garmin is a global company for its GPS and fitness tracking services. And so this incident provides a clear case of the impact of ransomware and how it can have on cloud services, causing disruption not only to company operations, but also affecting millions of end users worldwide. So let's quickly go through how the investigators approach this particular incident. So this example outlines the forensic investigation process for cloud-based ransomware attacks, like the one experienced by Garmin. Each step is focused on uncovering how the attack occurred, understanding the malware structure, and also attempting data recovery while strengthening the defenses against future incidents. So here in step 1, there was a VM snapshot analysis. So they basically created a VM snapshot to preserve the system state before and after the infection. Step 2, they had a log analysis for suspicious activity. They reviewed the security logs to identify the unauthorized access attempts or suspicious login activities that may have led to the ransomware attack. Step 3, they looked at the cloud resource examination. So investigators then examined the cloud resources for any malicious services or unauthorized instances that may have been deployed during the ransomware attack. This included scanning for rogue virtual machines, unauthorized applications, or temporary files created by the malware, and then also analyzing the cloud resources to understand how the attackers actually got in. Step 4 is reviewing the malware and payload identification. The forensic teams isolated the ransomware payload and began reverse engineering it to understand its origin, behavior, and encryption techniques. This step was critical for identifying the specific ransomware variant, understanding its operational structure, and exploring any potential vulnerabilities in the malware that could aid in decrypting the affected data. Step 5 was the data recovery efforts. With a clear understanding of the ransomware, investigators attempted to restore encrypted data using cloud backups or versioning features if they were available. And in step 6, they created a summarized report of all the findings. They restored the data where possible and implemented a stronger security measure. Okay, so I quickly kind of went through, just due to time constraints, of how this particular case was handled from a forensic standpoint. In our last section, as we move forward, it's essential to address the legal and ethical considerations surrounding mobile device forensics. Now, this area plays a critical role in ensuring forensic practices are not only effective, but also compliant with laws in respect to privacy rights. Forensic investigators must follow established legal protocols to maintain evidence admissibility in court and also uphold the ethical standards that protect individuals' privacy. And so from obtaining appropriate consent to managing sensitive information responsibly, these considerations ensure that investigations are conducted with integrity and respect for legal boundaries. By focusing on both legal compliance and ethical practices, investigators strengthen the credibility and reliability of the forensic process, ultimately supporting a fair and just investigation. So exploring into these frameworks, let's just examine a few key pillars here. In realm of mobile forensics, it's paramount to adhere to the legal and ethical standards to maintain credibility of all investigations and protect integral rights. So let's look at these 4 key pillars. The first is legal warrants and consent. So obviously, any mobile investigation, we need to obtain proper legal authorization, such as a warrant or explicit consent, is the overall foundation of the ethical mobile forensics standard. Without legal access, and any evidence collected may be considered inadmissible in court and could lead to legal repercussions. Investigators should ensure compliance with privacy laws and prevent unauthorized access by securing the necessary warrants or consent before data examination. Number 2 is privacy and data protection. Protecting the user's privacy is critical, especially with regulations like GDPR. For those who don't know, is the General Data Protection Regulation, or the CCPA, California Consumer Privacy Act. And this will set the standards high for any investigation. Additionally, forensic professionals are responsible for collecting any and only the relevant data for the investigation, limiting the scope of data collected to the respect of the individual's privacy. This selective approach safeguards sensitive information that may not be pertinent to the case. And number 3, chain of custody, right? So we want to make sure that we maintain an unbroken chain of custody, which is essential for preserving the integrity of the evidence. Every action taken on the device, such as when and whom by is handled, must be documented very meticulously. This record ensures that the evidence remains intact, admissible in court, and free from tampering, which is crucial for the credibility of forensic findings. And then our last point here is the data minimization. So this principle of data minimization helps to reduce overreach and the collection of unnecessary information. We focus solely on the relevant data. Forensic investigators mitigate the risks associated with the data over collection, such as potential violations of privacy and increased storage or handling complexities. Now, this approach not only respects privacy, but also aligns with legal standards in data handling. In cases where data handling is an issue, forensic investigators must ethically manage those decryption attempts. And so what this means is carefully balancing the need to access critical evidence with respecting the individual privacy rights and adhering to legal standards. The goal is to prevent unauthorized data exposure while ensuring the investigation is thorough and compliant with privacy laws. We also have cross-jurisdictional issues. With digital evidence often spanning across borders, it's essential to navigate the complexities of cross-jurisdictional laws. Different countries enforce varied legal requirements for data access, storage, and transfer. So investigators must be aware of these differences to avoid breaches in legal protocols, ensuring that the integrity of the evidence in international context. And then we have device ownership and verification. Prior to any forensic examination, confirming device ownership is critical. Now, this step verifies the consent or legal authorization is obtained from the appropriate party, safeguarding against any unauthorized access. And so it's necessary to review the protocols to maintain ethical standards and ensure that the admissibility of the evidence in legal proceedings. And we also have the industry standards and adherence. Adherence to industry standards such as those outlined in NIST or ISO is essential for credible forensic investigations. These guidelines establish a framework for ethical, accurate, and defensible analysis, helping investigators maintain a consistent approach to forensic practices that align with recognized professional standards. And so, thank you all. I know we are a little bit pressed up with our time, but thank you so much for joining this webinar on mobile forensics. It's been a pleasure sharing insights into our evolving field, and I look forward to any questions or discussions that you may have. And so now I will turn it back over to our host.
Thank you very much, Bennie, for delivering such an insightful and informative session. We found the webinar very engaging and hope it was valuable for you as well. So before we begin with the Q&A, I would like to inform all the attendees that this session is in sync with EC Council's Certified Hacking Forensic Investigator, that is CHFI program. EC Council Certified Hacking Forensic Investigator certification is an ANSI accredited lab-focused program offering comprehensive and vendor-neutral training in digital forensics. Participants will learn to conduct computer forensic investigations using innovative digital forensic technologies and tools. The course covers the knowledge and skills that cybersecurity professionals need to analyze complex security threats. Certification holders will be able to help thwart cyber attacks by investigating, recording, and reporting cyber crimes. EC Council's CHFI program is mapped to crucial cyber forensic job roles. LinkedIn 2024 lists over 3,600 plus digital forensic jobs opening worldwide, and PayScale 2024 lists an average annual salary of USD 1,11,000 for CHFI certified professionals in the United States. If you're interested to learn more, please participate in the poll that is going to be conducted now. Let us know your preferred mode of training and we'll reach out to you. So Bennie, should we proceed with the question and answers?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So our first question to you is, how do emerging technologies such as AI and machine learning influence the future of mobile forensic?
Excellent question. So AI will basically enhance most investigations, right? Doing most of the heavy lifting for us. However, when it comes to physical investigations, right, where we physically have to analyze a device, that's where the skill sets of a forensic investigator kind of comes into play. But to answer the question, AI will certainly enhance the efficiency of most investigations.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The next question to you is, what is the tool that you mentioned for examining data integrity?
Say it again. I'm sorry. I couldn't hear the question.
Sure. What is the tool that you mentioned for examining data integrity?
Right. So there were several tools. So Celebrite, UFED, Magnet Axiom was the second tool. Those are known for the data integrity. Those particular tools, although the other tools can also be used, they're just given the nod for those particular tools. Celebrite, UFED, and the Magnet Axiom.
Okay. So the next one is, how can someone retrieve data when the system is already infected by a ransomware?
Right. So if the system is already infected with ransomware, you're still basically following the same process. You're going to be isolating that device, right? So if this is a production device, you wouldn't be in production, right? You should be isolating this, or if we have a sandbox, Depending on what environment that you're using, you should be isolating the device first and then proceeding on with the additional steps that we talked about today.
Okay. Next question to you is, was the Garmin attack started from mobile access, or is it an example of forensic of the specific case?
One more time.
Was the Garmin attack started from mobile access? Is it example of forensics of the special case?
It was a cloud-based attack, right? So it did not start from mobile. It was a cloud-based attack. And so what we learned from that is, obviously from a forensic perspective, it just wasn't handled properly. And there's several tactics that could have been mitigated in the very onset. But this was not from a mobile, this was a cloud-based attack.
Okay. The next one is, which tool used for malware detection for mobile application?
So again, there were several tools. There's several tools that you can use. Elcomsoft was one. Belcomsoft is another one. Magnet Axiom, Celebrite, Oxygen Suite is another one. There's several tools that kind of all have the same characteristic. If you're asking which ones that I would highly recommend that are well respected for admissibility, it will probably be Magnet Axiom and Celebrite. Those are the top two for most investigations that will be well received.
Okay. Next one is, can we fetch the traces of data written on SSD by using phone integral memory if SSD is removed?
Yes, you can actually use a write blocker. Write blockers can also have that ability to extract that particular data. So yes, I would use a write blocker, and that's how you could do that.
Okay, so the next one is on white blocker. We can buy the tool white blocker.
Yes.
The other tools you mentioned for personal use?
You could actually buy an unlocked version. I actually saw this on eBay, surprisingly. Typically, you don't use these tools personally. You use it through a commercial or through an organization because of the licensing that comes with that. And there's some legal ramifications behind using the tool because it's a very powerful tool, which is the reason why most individuals don't have like a personal version of that software, right? Or that tool. But again, I did see a few versions on eBay. I don't know how that's possible. But yes, you can buy it on eBay, apparently. So.
Okay. The next one is, the rapid pace of technological change means that tools can quickly become outdated. Can you suggest best tools?
So the tools that we spoke about on the advanced tool slides, again, Celebrite, Axiom, Belcomsoft, Oxygen Suite. Then there's thousands of other tools out there. Always look at the tools from a commercial perspective, right? The open source tools, B2B tools, peer-to-peer tools, I would stay away from because they're not going to be accepted if we were to go to court. So to answer the question, to stay affluent with the tools, I would just say stay with the commercial ones. Axiom, Celebrite, MSB, X-Ray, right? Those are the type of tools that you would want to stay with, depending on your investigation.
What are the best open source tools that I can use to copy data from phones without rooting the devices?
It's an excellent question. I try to stay away from open source, so I can't name of any as of right now. But if you're just trying to copy data, there actually Axiom does have, well, that's not really a free version. Oxygen Suite would probably be one that I may consider, or FTK. you probably can use one of those type of tools, open source. I believe they're open source now. But yeah, those would probably be, the tools that I would highly recommend. They're pretty easy to use. But also this depends on, operating system. It also depends on your environment. Are you behind a firewall? Like there's a lot of things. If this is just a standalone, then yeah, I would use those tools.
How can we get information if phone is remotely controlled or hacked? What procedure will we follow to produce evidence?
Great question. So this is where, well, two things. First is this device controlled by an organization, right? If so, then the logs will probably be all transferred to that enterprise, right? So that system admin probably will have access to that phone device. If it's not managed through the organization and it's just a standalone, there's several tactics that we can use to kind of get that data off that device. But again, that's going to probably require either getting in through a back door or maybe jailbreaking to that device, or using a tool to try to gain access to those logs, or try to get some of the files that are in plain text from the databases.
How to retrieve data from online storages like cloud when everything is protected with passwords and MFA and you don't have the credentials to access the data?
Good question. So if we don't have any type of information, so it sounds like the question is we have no information on this device. How do we get in? I think that's what the question is asking.
I'll repeat
I'm
the
not sure.
question for you.
Sure.
Sure. How to retrieve data from online storages like cloud when everything is protected with passwords and MFA and you don't have the credentials to access the data?
Oh, I see. Yeah. So there's several attacks that we would do on the actual database, right? MFA is just for the user, right? So it's basically trying to authenticate the user to that environment, right? So we could bypass the MFA. There are several techniques. The foothold that we want is to get into that database. The database is what holds all the keys to the kingdom, right? So I don't want to provide any, tactics specifically because that's getting into some hacking. But there are several tactics that we would typically use, or I would use, to bypass the MFA to get to the database. It can be done. It does take some time, but I guess to the previous question that somebody asked about AI, this is where AI kind of comes in, right? If we're looking at rounds of encryption, if we're looking at rounds to get through or to jailbreak into that device, this is where AI kind of comes in. But I'll leave it at that without giving too much information away.
We'll go with the last question for the day. Can you explain the difference between logical file system and physical extraction in mobile forensics?
Yeah, sure. So logical is basically the logic of the device. The physical is the physical device. Now, going back to logical, I just want to make sure I preface, basically it's going to be like the criteria set, right? So there's going to be some type of criteria set for that device. The physical side is what type of device, and the administrative side is, how does it connect to a server or database or enterprise, right? And who's managing that device, right? So essentially, that's really what those three components are. They kind of work hand in hand.
Okay, so thank you to our wonderful speaker, Bennie, for answering those questions and for the great presentation and knowledge that you shared with our global audiences. It was a pleasure to have you with us, and we're looking forward for more and more sessions with you, Bennie.
Thank you so much.
Before we conclude with, thank you so much, Bennie. So before we conclude the webinar, Bennie, would you like to give a short message to our audiences, please?
Yes, thank you all for joining this webinar on CHFI. This was a great webinar. EC Council is phenomenal, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next series that we'll have coming up very soon.
Yes, for sure, Benny. Thank you so much, Benny.